What is a critical conversation? A critical conversation is a conversation that reveals important context, not only about ourselves, but about other people. Critical conversations edify, heal, and provide substance. Join Latanya Harris Gooden as she introduces us to critical conversations right here on Trailblazers Radio. Join Representative Rhonda Taylor, the Goody Crew Foundation, and Antioch East AME Church for the Holiday Toy Drive distribution, also known as the Christmas Jingle Jam, Saturday, December 17th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pre-registration is available November 28th through December 15th. For more information or to pre-register, go to www.thegoodycrewinc.org.
Good evening, everybody. It's Sunday evening. LHG is here on your PM dial. It's 5:01 Eastern Standard Time. Hello, and welcome to Critical Conversations. I am yours truly, your host, LHG, standing for Latanya Harris Gooden. Thank you all for joining tonight. I am looking forward to this conversation. I'm looking forward to talking about emotional wellness. As you all know, if you've been following, and we are on episode 5, y'all. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's a big thing for me. So we've been talking about the 7 dimensions of wellness. We're going around the wheel, and we're landing tonight on the emotional wellness. And I'm going to be talking to a sister of mine that I literally just met through Facebook. I'm so excited. Get you some connections that really matter. You know, I don't take Facebook connections for granted. You might go out there and just be friend anybody and everybody, but I really believe that God uses these mechanisms to connect people. And I'm so honored that she so graciously is on here today to talk about what she is, who she is for one, what she does, and what capacity she works in at her job, and to also kick it with me about emotional wellness. As you all know, we are in the holiday time, and some people are not happy right now. They ain't been happy in a long time. It's been a lot of tragedy and issues and challenges mentally, physically, financially. So right now kind of adds to that pressure. So we're going to talk about how do we make sure we are being emotionally aware of where we are right now. But I first want to pray, and I'm going to introduce my sister, and then we're going to dive in. Father God, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for being who you are. I thank you for being such a merciful and giving and forgiving Savior. I ask tonight that you do everything that I've been asking you to do all week, and just show up. I just need you to show up and do what it is that no other power but Holy Ghost power can do. Take control. Bless my sister for even granting my request to be on the show tonight. Bless the viewers and listeners. Let something be said tonight that edifies them and builds them up and motivates and encourages and allows them to feel more emotionally present, because God, you still good. Yeah, it's been rough. Yeah, it's been tough. Yeah, we done had some ups, some downs, some in-betweens, total emotional roller coasters. However, you are our blessed hope. So we thank and praise you in advance for all you're gonna do, all you're doing. In Jesus' name, amen. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Ky Gibson, and I'm going to give you the funny story on how I stumbled upon this beautiful woman. She's my Facebook friend, but she posted a picture of Frankenmuth. Yes, Frankenmuth is in Michigan for my out-of-state viewers. It's a Christmas themed what do you call it? A place where you go and buy a bunch of ornaments. Everything Christmas is at Frankenmuth. You want ornaments, you want streamers, you want everything in terms of figurines. There's hotels, there's good food, there's all this wonderful stuff, and it's been around for ages. So I happened to reply to her, "Oh, I love Frankenmuth," or something like that. And she let me know she was there with her job. And me being, I asked questions, child. me being who I am, we got into a conversation and I asked her, what does she do? And when she said she works for the Life Center, the name alone had me at hello. I'm like, ooh, I felt that thing. The Life Center. So I asked more questions. And as she started telling me what the Life Center is and what she does at the Life Center and what her passion is, I'm like, yes, this is my kind of sister. So I asked her to come on tonight, and we just had this conversation a few days ago. And I asked her to come on and just let me interview her so that we all can learn more about the Life Center. We all can learn about what role she plays in it. And from two perspectives, this place may be somewhere you or someone you know may need help at, or you may decide that your compassion and your passion is similar to hers and you may want to apply for a job there. I'm telling you, at 47 years old, I've had an illustrious career. And now I look at my life and say, what's next? What can I do that aligns with who I am intrinsically, the people I should be impacting, my compassion, my passion. So you may feel as though working for the Life Center and in that arena matches your dreams. So, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you my sister, Ky Gibson.
Hi
Woo!
everyone, how are you guys doing? I hope you all are great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to start by asking you if, well, let's keep it fundamental. Who is Ky? What makes you tick? What is the thing that really um gets you excited about, what you do? Kind of introduce yourself to the world in terms of who you are.
Okay, so I'm Ky Gibson. I work for Life Center Incorporated. We have two locations, which is in the Macomb, and then we have one in Livonia. Um, what makes me who I am is I'm such a loving person, but I love to care for people. And it started based off of personal because my brother, who is a twin, he was diagnosed with autism back when he was like 3, maybe 5 years old. And back
Mhm.
at that time, they didn't have like autism programs, they didn't have
Right.
APA therapy, they didn't have none of that. All they had was just maybe one person who would come out and do speech therapy, and maybe even just like just work with them
Mhm.
in just whatever area that they were struggling in.
Mhm.
But he beat the odds, and so from that
Wow.
forward, I just was like, when I get grown, I want to help more people, not just be with my brother. I want to do this for other people.
Yes. Yes.
So so what happened was I started with Life in the back in like 2011,
Mhm.
and I began to work with just actually children at first.
Okay.
They had a program with kids that who needed mentors. And so I was like, okay, I'm interested because I love kids and I love working with people. So, and then most of these kids were kids that just had emotional
Mm.
issues. Some of
Mm.
them had issues with their parents, some had issues with just their siblings. Sometimes they just had issues within themselves, but they would give you certain cases and you would just be one on one with that kid, whether it was you took them out to the community, whether it was stuff that you did with them at home, whatever it was that their goal was, that was your goal to help them through it.
Mm.
And if they actually did really good with their goal, then they no longer needed you because they accomplished that goal and that was it. But if they still needed more and more work, then you would stay with that kid and you would continue to work with them with other goals that they had in place.
Mhm.
So I did that for a while, and me working in group home kind of fell in my lap because it was a home, an unlicensed home
Okay.
that needed some help. And I was like, yeah, I'll go over there and I help. And so me going over there helping turned into more full time than working
Yes.
with kids. So I was like, okay, I'll switch over to adults. Didn't have a problem with it. I love my ladies over there that I took care of, and I did that for a few years up until maybe like 2016.
Wow.
And I left because an opportunity had presented to me to work at Spectrum Juvenile Services. So I took that, and so I left Life Center for a while. and I went over to I went over to Spectrum Juvenile Services, and I was there for about maybe a year or two, working with children who were in the system. They were kids who were murderers, kids who were that they had like larceny charges. It was kids that or just was in the foster care system and they just had nowhere to put them, so they put them there, which was really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so then working with those kids, which were young men, and I switched over to an independent program, which was for a different another different company. But I was trying to get my way into learning different parts of the system with
Yes,
children
that's smart.
because it don't just stop and end at working with them in the system of being in like jail. If that doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It's other factors into it. You know, you
Yeah.
have foster care and then you have independent living. So with independent living, we taught them how to be on their own, how to get like bank accounts, how to stay in school, go to
Oh, wow.
college, even get an apartment, say road test training,
That's awesome.
drive, all of that, all those things they taught to learn to be on their own. And so when I left from there, I took another lead somewhere else out of state, and it was a RTC home, which is basically another home for foster care kids.
Okay.
Those are kids who strictly are either because their parents messed up or these were kids who had some type of drug issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked with those kids, and then I came back to Michigan 2 years ago, and Life Center welcomed me back and was like, "Can you take on a role as home manager for this house out in Rochester?" And I said, "No problem." And I've been there ever since. And I went back to working with adults, and it has been the best thing ever because these are, again, it's another unlicensed home. We do have license, but it's another unlicensed home. And these are autistic men, ages from 40 to 50. And they all have their own unique way of like just talking to you. Some talk, some don't. I have three actually nonverbal and one that is verbal, and they all have their own unique way of just talking to you, getting to know you.
Mm-hmm.
And then after so long of you being with these people,
Mm-hmm.
you begin to, just get some type of relationship with them, whether it's good or
Yes.
bad. You're going to get that report with them, and once you get the report, it's up from there. So I enjoy what I do. I love taking care of people. I love helping people because everybody does not have the patience to do
Mm-hmm.
this job. You have
Mm-hmm.
to have patience. You have to be understanding and want to and be willing to learn because if you don't
Yes.
learn who they are as people, you will have that barrier there and then now you're frustrated, you don't know what to do, and then you're constantly just, just fighting every day trying to get through to that person and that just doesn't work. So you have to be willing to learn, you have to be willing to be
Yes.
patient and be understanding because again, they get just as frustrated as we do. So you have to like learn them as you go on.
Wow. That's absolutely amazing. You said so much that I want to go back and dive in
Okay.
deeper. You mentioned about mentoring. That is something that is extremely near and dear to my heart because I always feel as though children as well as adults we need someone that can kind of guide us towards making the best decisions for ourselves. That can sometimes be difficult for those who don't have the challenges you mentioned. I want to
Mhm.
know in the mentoring aspect of it, you mentioned that they are setting goals. Are you able to talk about what kinds of goals are they setting for themselves?
So I'll talk about this one young lady I had. It was so funny when I first met her. She was angry. She
Mm.
was so angry. The first day I met her, like the first day, she was like going off on her mom and she was just
Wow.
like, "You can leave." She looked at me and was like, "You can go." So I
Wow.
looked at her like, "I'm not going nowhere, but okay, And she looked at me and it kind of put this look on her face like, "What?" And I'm like, "I'm not going nowhere."
Right.
So we went to her room and she just started talking about everything, what was wrong. And so I began to tell her, what she should do and what she should not do. But her goal was really to get through anger
Mhm,
issues
mhm.
and to just keep her focused in school because she was a kid that pretty much she was always at the wrong place at the wrong time or she hung around people that was not for her.
Okay.
Her friends was no good. And she grew up in a uh, it was well, it was a two family home, but it wasn't her actual mother. It was her real father, but her stepmother. But
Okay.
her real mother was kind of like in and out of her life.
Yes.
Um, Again, she was very angry. She was like angry at the world. But the more and more I worked with her,
Mhm.
she began to do so well. She was doing better in school. And trust to believe, it ain't just me working with her. We had a team. So
Okay.
she was through a comp she so basically how it works with children, or even adults, they have like it's called a support coordinator, which
Okay.
is kind of like their maybe like a counselor. I'm gonna
Okay.
just say that. And so you had her support coordinator, you had me, you had her teachers, you had her parents, and we all would come together like once a month, and we would like figure out, okay, what can we do next to help her get to the next step. And
Mhm.
so, because she was so angry, I helped her with her therapy sessions. She would want me to sit in with her therapy sessions because
Okay.
she felt like she just couldn't talk about it by herself. You know, she needed somebody there that she trusted. Because once they build that rapport with you, now they feel like they can trust you. And
Absolutely.
so I had built this rapport with her, not just being just like a friend to her, but I was more so being like a big sister because
Yes.
I wanted her to, even though she had sisters, but I wanted her to know, like, I'm here for you. You know, I don't judge you. I'm not here to talk about you. I'm here to help you and help you to
Yes.
get through you go so that way you can go to the next step, you know. And I think this is probably like maybe her senior year of school too. So she was really, she literally turned her life around up until. So here's the thing: when kids feel like they're about to lose you, they try to like self-sabotage themselves, and they think that that's
Wow.
gonna help them keep you. So she was doing so great. She was getting good grades. She was joining sports teams. She was just doing really, really good at one point. She even was doing even really good with her family, like even with her stepmother and with her father.
Mhm.
Um, but when she learned that once she turned 18, I could no longer be her mentor anymore, it was like it dampened her spirit.
Okay.
So now at this point, she's trying to like self-sabotage herself. She's
Okay.
trying to do things to kind of keep me around. Like, okay, well, I'm not gonna do too good no more so that I can, keep
Wow.
you around. And I had to tell her, I said, you done worked hard all this time.
Yes. Come so far.
Don't self-sabotage yourself.
Yeah.
So she ended up doing really good. She didn't need me anymore. But like basically her goal was to not be so angry anymore and just to work on doing good to where she could graduate high school and go on.
Mhm.
Now, I haven't talked to her in a long time. I know she's not doing so good now, but that happens sometimes. They kind of fall off, they kind of get off track. But that does not mean that they can't get back on track. But
Yeah.
she just right now is in a place where she's not on track.
Mhm.
So, but she did do well when she was under my mentoring. She did very well.
What's interesting, Kai, is it almost sounds like separation anxiety when you have
Mhm.
a label, or not label, a level, excuse me, of stability from your support coordinator, therapist. You've got this team, and looking at
Mhm.
the Life Center website, it talks about teamwork. So you just described how everybody has a part. You've got the support
Mhm.
coordinator, the therapist, the counselor. The we call those consumers, right? Is that what we call?
Right. Correct.
The consumer themselves. So they get so comfortable. And as you mentioned, you're providing a trusted environment where I can depend on my team. I know they're there for me. So when I get to the end of this, my life is going to change. And as children, they may not understand you can still do good. Take what we taught you and fly, little birdie. But that could go back to previous abandonment issues, rejection issues.
Correct.
It's like, now you're going to leave me just like this person
Mhm.
left and that person left. So, what does Life Center offer? Like, is there a continued care? Do they refer you to someone
Okay.
else after you're done?
So well, what Life Center does is so right now I don't know if Life Center still have their children program. That part I don't know because
Okay.
I don't work with the children anymore through Life
Okay.
Center. But I can always find out. But with the adults, what they do is so they have supported, they have licensed, and then they have unlicensed.
Okay.
The supported are most times it's kind of like individual based. They have, you might have like one or two people come in and work with them, and it may not be 24-hour care, but they might get some type of care. And normally, how people can get that type of care, you have to go through another company.
Okay.
So, for like prime example, when I was with kids, they were working with Easter Seals, which is a company that
Mhm.
reaches out to like agencies like us, like Life Center or any other agency that works with consumers.
Mhm.
They reach out to them. They'll say, "Hey, do you have anybody that's willing to come and work, and take on these cases or whatever?" And so, like, and they say, "Yeah, we got this many people," and then so they'll reach out and they'll send their people out. And then for adults, um, I know for Oakland and Macomb, we go through more.
Okay.
But Wayne, I think they go through. No, it's CLS. They go through them.
Okay.
So but it's different. It's so many different companies
Yeah.
that reach out to an agency and say, "Hey, we have this many, people that we need help with. How many workers do you have? Can you send them out and help us with these people?" And sometimes it happens. It all depends on if you have just a lot of staff and that's willing to come and do it. And then sometimes it don't always happen because right now no one is really trying to work right now. So it can be like a little short staff situation as well.
Right, right. Right. Now, I remember growing up when we had situations where a young person exhibited behaviors that might have been hostile. Back in my day, you just got shipped off to kind of a juvenile delinquent type of
Mhm.
school. This sounds way more involved in terms of figuring out how did we get here? What has happened to you?
Well, that still happens though.
Really?
Unfortunately, that what you just described still happens. So when I worked for another company, um, at Spectrum, that happens.
Mm,
Sometimes you get kids in there who just they were the state. They ain't got nowhere to go because their parents didn't know what to do with them.
right.
Um, a lot of wards of the state, especially teenagers, and I work with young men, they get thrown off and be like, okay, their parents don't want nothing to do with them. You see that a lot because a lot of parents don't want to take the time to learn what's wrong with their child.
Right,
They just say, well, I'm frustrated and I can't do this no more. So I'm just gonna call somebody. I'm having to come pick them up because I can't handle my kid anymore. But if they really took the time to get to know their kid, they'll know it probably is not that bad. They just need y'all to come and
yes,
learn them. You know what I mean?
yes,
And
talk
get
to
to
'em.
know their own kid so that they'll
Mhm,
know how to, work with you. Some kids do need medication and some kids don't. Not all kids need medication. Not, and
mhm,
that's one thing that I hate is that people be so quick to want to say, well, just medicate the kid. No,
right,
all kids don't need medication. Some stuff don't work. Some stuff just not gonna work. Like I have a he's grown, but my one consumer, he loves food, and I mean when I say he loves food. We all love food, but he has like
me too.
over the top of food,
Mhm,
and so his parents have it. They have this thing where they feel like if we just find a medication to counteract with the one medication, it's gonna help him not love food as much. No, he's gonna always love food to for the rest of his life. That's never going to change. You
mm,
just have to learn some type of way to stop him from wanting to go and sneak and get food or
right,
take food off of plates or just all these little different things that he do. You have to learn them. You can't just think that every time you give a medication it's gonna stop everything and it's gonna help. It's not going to help because some medication don't always help for that.
right.
So I just wish people will understand that medication is not always the way to go.
Wow. And that is something that people are quick to do, and with me, the reason why that kinda doesn't sit well with me is having dealt with childhood trauma. I think some people take the easy way out and they put it all on the child. The question
Mhm.
becomes, in some cases, what kind of life are you giving them? What are they seeing? What are they hearing that's causing them? Are they safe? Who's coming in and out of that house that could be
And
doing
sometimes they're
things?
not always safe. Sometimes, and you'll be surprised of some of the stories that you hear from some of the children. I've been heard some stories. And some of these kids don't feel safe. Some of these kids don't be safe. Some of these kids um, be put in situations where they're forced to have to do something that's probably not good, but that's one way that they knew how to survive.
Right.
It's like it's forced upon them to do something because some of them have younger siblings. And they feel like, well, if I do this, this is gonna help me take care of my younger siblings. So I have to do
Right.
it this way.
Wow. How much parent involvement is there when it's children? Do they come in and participate in any
Um,
of the therapy?
they can. Like I said, back when I was doing it with Life Center, it was some parent well, it was some parents that were involved.
Hmm.
Um, And some of them was really involved. They would come to every meeting. They would be there. Here's the thing: if you want your kid to get help, you're gonna make sure that your kid get help. So you're gonna make sure
Absolutely.
that you're home. Like when I was mentoring, the parents made sure that they were home so that the kid could get the mentoring.
That's good.
Um, but if you one of them parents who always had an excuse why they was never home, I can't mentor that kid because you're not there. So now the kid can't get the services that they need because you're not there.
Right.
So some parents really took it seriously, some parents didn't. It's really all about the parent who really wants the services. If they want the services, then they'll make sure that they're home, make sure that the kid is home. They're gonna make sure that it's getting done. So it's all predicated on the parent. But
Absolutely.
we allow the parents to be involved. We may say, hey, here parents, this is what I want. Even with adults, the parents can be involved because a lot of times we can do it by ourselves, but it's not easy because now it's one sided. It's like I'm doing all this work, but the parents or the guardians is not too involved, and so now it's kind of like they only want to get involved when it comes down to maybe when they get sick really bad. Now they
Okay.
want to get involved,
Okay.
but it can kind of it can be irritating because when you with this person every day. And then here comes the parent trying to take over. It's like that's not really the case. This is really what happened. This is why they're in this situation. Now you're trying to tell the doctors and whoever else, okay, this is what's really going on. But then now they don't know who to talk to because they're like, well, that's the guardian, but you with them every day. So how do we do this? So now that's why it's always good to come together. That's why it's always good for the parents to come together with you. So
Right.
that way they know we all on one accord and we all know what's going on.
And that's another way of having the teamwork approach. If everybody
Yes,
is partnering with the objective being the wellness, the total wellness of the child, I think that presents a positive image to the child. I'm cared for enough to where everybody's coming together to make sure I get what I need. Because I
correct.
think at the end of the day, children in many cases just want to be loved and cared for and valued just like adults, just
Hmm.
like adults, and they don't know how to express that in that way because they're kids. We can't expect them to walk up to you and
Hmm.
say, I'm not being loved enough. And before I act up, can you help me? They're not going to be able to do that. So the behavior sometimes is the byproduct of what they're feeling. So before you just throw them away, into some center, takes, like that doesn't help them, take time. Like back in the day, we had adult education for children who got expelled out of school. You got excluded, expelled, expulsion, and then you would end up in adult ed. But I always wonder, well, what happens to them after that? You know, is somebody following up with them to see, well, how are you coping? Are you going to go to college? There's a disconnect
Some,
sometimes.
it can be a disconnect. Some agencies do provide aftercare. Some
Mm.
agencies don't. And even if they do provide some type of aftercare, it's not for long, or it takes a while because again, it's so short staffed everywhere, and a lot of times a person is getting you might be where you supposed to probably have maybe like 10 cases. But in some cases, you got 20, you got 30. And so now you're trying to keep up with all these cases, and it's hard to provide the aftercare because you got so many, clients or consumers that you got to kind of link back up with. It's hard to. So,
Right.
and then you just don't have the proper staff to do it. So, some agencies do provide aftercare, some of
Okay.
them don't. And I really like when some companies do provide the aftercare because it's showing that you're still trying to stay connected to that kid or
Right.
that adult or whoever who may be needing the services. Um, when a kid does not get the aftercare services, it kind of gives them a window to say, okay, I'm about to go back and get back in trouble and do whatever it
Yes.
is that I'm doing.
Yes.
Or they're not even worth the trouble, but maybe they sickly mentally and they just not getting the services that they needed anymore.
Mhm.
So now they're going back into this rage or this mental illness part, and now they're in the streets somewhere, not in their right mind, and now they just all over the place, So I love when agencies do have aftercare because it helps them, but you don't find it too common
Okay.
anywhere.
Okay. Now, when it comes to working with young people, were you working with the school system as well? Because they were in school, they're school age, right?
Um, they are school age, so um, we was not well when I was doing it through Life Center. Yes, we did work with the school, but when I was in other companies, they had so like prime example, Spectrum have a school that comes inside the building.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember the name of the school, but it's more like well, it's kind of like online schooling in a
Okay.
sense, but for them, they actually had teachers that came out and
Wow.
did school with them inside the building because these kids could not go out. Like I said, these were kids who got in trouble, so they couldn't
Mhm.
just go out and be out in the public. No, they
Right.
couldn't do that. So,
Right.
and it was an all boy place, and it was a high secure. So these kids now they could get home passes if they worked hard for that, but you had to
Okay.
work hard to get home passes.
Mhm.
So, um, pretty much, if they wanted to do school, they did it inside the building. And like I said, when I was with Life Center, we did work with the school. We would come in. Sometimes we would sit in on them. Sometimes we would come like to like their parent teacher conferences.
Mhm.
Um, but for the most part, it really depends on the agency, what they provide and how they provide it.
Okay. Now, your official title is home manager. Is that correct,
Uh,
Kai? Tell me
That's
what
correct.
that entails. What's a day in the life of a home manager at Life Center?
So I'm off on weekends. So Monday and Friday for a home manager, it entails of not only you making sure that your consumers are good, but also making sure that your staff is good. So
Okay.
I have to worry about my staff and my consumers. I have to make sure that for my staff, the schedule is on point, that I'm meeting all of their needs plus mine, because I can't, so I make sure we operate as a team. I
Mhm.
make sure that they're all their their like if they have like any appointments, I'm making sure that all their appointments are up to date. I'm making sure that all their medications is on point. It can happen sometimes where sometimes they meds may not all come on time. So now
Mhm.
you gotta call the pharmacy, make sure that the pharmacy is bringing their meds on time. And sometimes it's a disconnect between the pharmacy and the doctor's office. So now you gotta, call all these different doctor's offices just trying to make sure that their meds is on time.
Mhm.
I'm also making sure that they're eating. I have to make sure, like, because if I'm working a shift, basically in the morning, I'm taking them to their workshop or their job. Um, and if it is someone that has to stay back with me, then they with me through the whole day. They work with me the whole day.
Okay.
I'm making sure they got lunch, and if they not there, while they're not there, I'm taking care of, like I said, any appointments that need to be made. I'm taking care, making sure that their laundry is done. I'm making sure that their dinner is prepped or that
Wow.
their dinner is made. Um, and then at a certain time, you have to go pick them up. So we do a transport. That's what we call transporting. We're going to pick them
Mhm.
up from either their workshop or their job. After you pick them up, you bring them in the house. You have them take their laundry because my guys are a little independent. They're
Okay.
not to the point where they're like handicapped where they can't walk or do nothing. Most of my house is a pretty much easy house because it's really pretty much they can do stuff on their own.
Okay.
They still need help with certain things, but for my guys, um, they take their own laundry up. They put their own laundry away. Except for one, I have one guy. He has the mindset of a 5 year old. So with him, I have to do it with him. I have to show
Okay.
him how to do it. But for the most part, um, I prep their food. I cut it up for them. They eat. After they eat, I have four guys. You might have one guy listening to music. You might have one guy on the treadmill, one
Mhm.
guy watching TV and another guy upstairs in his room taking a nap or just in his room watching TV. So they're all doing their own little thing. And
Wow.
again, out of the four, three of them is nonverbal, one is not.
Wow.
Um, so, and then you have to still make sure that they are all safe. So you got to do your check, making sure that they're all okay.
Yes.
Um, After that, you pass their medications at like 8 o'clock. They go to their rooms. Either they may be in there chilling or they sleep. And it depends on how late you work. So some days I work, sometimes I do like on Tuesdays I work 14 hours. So
Wow.
within those 14 hours, I make sure that they have ate, that they have got their PM hygiene done, they got their medications. I make sure that they have, you know, packed their lunch for the next day for workshop or job for their job. And I've made sure that they are safe and they healthy. And so
Wow.
once you have made all you made sure that your job is done.
Hmm.
So, um, but again, sometimes it don't always go smoothly like that because sometimes you get visits from like maybe a nutritionist or the foot doctor, or you might get a visit from um their support coordinator.
Hmm.
Sometimes you may get a visit from just a guardian who may want to come by and say hi. And then the barrier is like because I'm not bilingual with English Sign Language.
Hmm.
So, but I've learned my guys, and it's amazing. I'm gonna give you a quick story. So, my one guy, his name is well, we're gonna call him BJ. I'm not gonna get disclose his full name, but we call him BJ. And so with BJ, he is nonverbal, but he can do some sign language. I don't know any sign language, but he will point at his head and he
Hmm.
will say, basically, he's letting me know he has a headache. And so for
Okay.
like a month straight, it was frustrating because I'm like, why do you have this headache? It's driving me nuts. So
Mhm.
first I took him to the eye doctor. I thought, well, maybe he's having headaches because we may need to get new glasses.
Right.
He did need new glasses, but that wasn't it. He still was getting headaches. And so I
Hmm.
said, okay, change your plans. We're about to go make you a doctor's appointment. So I made him a doctor's appointment. And when he went to the doctor was like, oh, you know what? We're gonna have to send him to a neurologist because I
Ooh.
can't tell you why he's having these headaches. So now we go to the neurologist. Neurologist does a CAT scan and an MRI, and they begin to see that he has a brain aneurysm going on in his
Oh
head.
my God.
He gets so at this point that everybody's asking me, how did you know he had that? I didn't know. I just know he had headaches. And so he was out of workshop for about a month because he had to get the surgery.
Hmm.
Of course, I had to notify his guardian, and she came up here from Indiana. And after that, he has been literally back to his normal self after a month
Praise
of going
God.
to the surgery. He went back to workshop and act like nothing's happened.
Wow.
Um, but it was amazing that I could even pinpoint something was wrong, and I don't speak, sign language. I don't know, I just know based off of certain things that could be like because I'm around him every day. I've
Hmm.
learned certain things about him. I learned when he want to listen to music. I've learned when he don't want to listen to music. I've learned when he want to go do something else. I learned when he is very antsy and he ready to go. Those are things you learn as you work with them and build a report.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what he's, he upset or he's sad or he's. So after you've been with them for so long, you begin to learn them and you begin to know when
Yeah.
it's something's not right.
It's
And
a
I just knew something
relationship.
wasn't right. Yeah,
Wow. And you paid attention to it, Kai. That could have went a whole nother way. If
it
you
could
had
have.
not jumped in and said, let's get you some care, brain aneurysm, that could have
Mm-hmm.
went a whole, thank the Lord that he is living, that it was caught,
Yes.
removed, because that could have been a whole different outcome. Now you mentioned that a guardian. So they sometimes have people like relatives that you can call and say, hey, your cousin, brother, father is sick. Can you come in? Is that kind of what happens?
So when it comes to guardians, the guardians could be their actual parents or it could be a family member. When they are sick and something is wrong, yes, you do. You have to notify the guardian. You have to
Okay.
let them know that they are sick and what's wrong with them. Now that's up to their discretion if they want to come up and be a part of it.
Mhm.
We keep all medical information with us because those are legal documentation.
Right.
So we have to keep that with us. Um, But if the guardian wants to be there, absolutely. I come on, you can come and be a part of this and you can understand what's going on because I don't want to just be the only one that knows. I want you to be aware too so you know what to do if something like this ever happens again or just so that you can be aware. Because these are
Yes,
your children or these are your siblings or nieces or nephews. You need to be aware of what's going on.
absolutely. Yes.
So we do notify the guardian, and sometimes guardians show up, sometimes they don't.
Okay.
Sometimes they will say, "Okay, keep me updated on what's going on."
Okay.
Okay, I'll keep you updated. But it's really up to their discretion of
Mhm.
how of what they want to do.
What do you define workshop as? Are these literal workshops or what's workshop?
So workshop is like school for them.
Okay.
Workshop is like, but it depends. See, just last year, I think in Michigan, all the workshops just lost their. It's the code. I want to say I don't want to be wrong, but I think it's like 504C or it's something. But they
Mhm.
lost the code where before in workshop they could work, they could
Right.
make money. Michigan took it away.
Oh,
So now they're using it more of like a community-based type place.
okay.
So it's more like school now. They either coloring or and then they have to at least go out into the community at least one time a month. And that's the minimum. They can go out as many times they want under workshop, but they can go out and do different things. Like in the summertime, they can go to the park, they can go to like just any outdoor events, and then of course in the wintertime they go to something that's more indoorish.
Right.
But they just want so they in there coloring and doing different worksheets and maybe sewing, or just any little task that they have them do. That's
Right.
what workshop is. But
That's
it's like an
awesome.
adult daycare.
I love it. And it keeps the mind moving.
Hmm.
It allows them to enjoy doing different tasks. Because one thing that I've learned about some people, and I will just be honest, some group homes don't have the good reputation that yours has. They don't care for
No,
people. What you just explained to me is like y'all do all that because I've
we
seen.
do a lot with
Woo,
my guys. Well, with my guys, and here's the thing: it's not that maybe they don't want to go out and do stuff. Sometimes you may not have the staff.
yeah,
Sometimes you may have consumers who might be handicapped, and so because they are handicapped, it takes a lot more work to
right.
take them out and do things. Well, my guys, they're not physically handicapped. So they can go out and do things like I try to take them out once a month to this dance called Coffee House. They get to go
Okay,
out, dance, eat, party. That's what they do. They party, they party. And so
love
and they
it.
have a good time and they love it. They sometimes pull you on the dance floor. And you
That's
dance
so
with them or party with them. Um, my actual life center, we have like, parties. Like we have a Christmas party coming up. The guys are invited, all the consumers are invited. They get to come out and enjoy and have fun with the staff. For we had a picnic during the summer, and the staff and the consumers were invited, and my guys had a good time. They put me on the dance floor. We was all dancing together, and
nice.
they got to eat and play games, and they just had a good time. So I try to make sure that my guys do get out and do something at least once a
Yes.
month, if not twice out of a month. Sometimes we actually are going to in February we'll be going to a circus. I can't
Mm,
think of the name of the circus right now, but we get invited to the circus every year. And sometimes with me because I work with where I see other managers we'll like give each other ideas and say, hey, this place is having such and such, you should bring your guys. And so we all, so we tell each other different events every month or every time we see an event, we'll tell each other about an event. And so we all try to, come together and bring our guys there. So, or our people because they might have, because like we just have men in our home, but I know some homes have men and women. So,
mhm.
it all depends on who you have.
Wow. Now, how did you all did everybody get to go to Frankie Moo?
All my guys did, yes.
Oh,
What I
awesome.
did was I just added another staff to come with me so that
Mhm,
it would be easier. I can handle all four guys by myself, but
mhm,
like I said, I have this one consumer who is like a foodie. He loves food, and so with
mhm.
him, you need an extra staff. And so I just had my extra staff, and we had a good time.
That is so awesome. Now,
Yeah.
Kai, who pays for this? How is this set up in terms of who pays like
Um, like who pays Life Center?
yes.
Um, the state, because a lot of these guys get their money. So basically, it's through their insurance. Their insurance bills. Well, how it go is, the work that we do, we build an insurance company, and the insurance company pays us.
Okay.
Now, if they don't have insurance, let's just say they don't have it, but their parents have money. Let's say they got just some rich family, they can pay too. But
Okay.
but for the most part, their insurance pays for that,
Okay.
for the services they get. Because it's just like, prime example, like if you was, how some people get individual care through the state, like they have their family members taking care of them. It's the same way because your insurance is paying basically for your family members to take care of you. So it's the
Right.
same way as at the group homes.
Okay. What are some of the challenges you mentioned? I think you mentioned that there might have been consumers that might have been autistic. What other
Mhm.
challenges do they face?
They face being autistic is really a joy. They are some of the smartest people ever.
Mm-hmm.
But they have feelings just like we do. Those are their challenges. Because sometimes they may not have their family to come
Hmm.
around. So for them, their challenges is when their family is not there or when they
Wow.
don't get to see their family. They may not never voice it, but you can see it. Um, you can see it in like their face, or
Mhm.
their response if they're able to talk. They face challenges. They don't do well with change either.
Okay.
So sometimes they do good, sometimes they don't. I'm not gonna say that all the time that they don't do good, but for the most part, they don't do well with change.
Hmm.
'Cause sometimes the change can be like a death in the family, and they don't understand it.
Yes.
Um, but they have to know about it because, again, if they're talkative, they're going to ask you questions.
Absolutely.
Um, um, Other challenges that they face is that maybe they can't get a job. Like I have a guy who has a job, but then you might have one who might say, "Well, I want a job," but they can't get it because of their behaviors, which is they could be one of those people who has like they're just really angry, and they just like, "No, we can't have you work because you're too angry." So they do face certain challenges. Sometimes it's not always noted. Sometimes they don't always express it um, because I think they get afraid that they're gonna get in trouble. I don't know why they always have this feeling that they're gonna get in trouble, but
Mhm.
I always tell my guys, "You're not in trouble. What's wrong? Tell me what's wrong so we can fix it, so we can help it."
Right.
And and sometimes they tell you. But when they are sad about something, they don't always express it or tell you what's wrong.
Right.
But they do be sad.
Right. In my experience, Kai, just looking back over my life and some of the people that I've met and seen and come across in passing, when people have different challenges, um, I don't know if the families seek out help the way that they could or should. It's almost as if they're in the home, they're just left to isolate and they're just by themselves. How important is it to make sure that when you have someone in your family that has some type of challenge, to get them in a program? How important is this? How does it make a difference?
It is so imperative. It is so important. And the reason why I say it's important, I'm glad you asked this question, is because most autistic children or adults are loners. They love to be alone. But they
Mhm.
also like to be around people too. They just don't voice it. But it's needed because it helps them to have a social skill. It helps them
Yeah.
to be able to talk to whether it's their staff, their family member, or just people, period. Um, when they're not when they're isolated from the world or from people, they become socially awkward when they do get around somebody. And now they don't know how to talk. They don't know how to hold a
Mhm.
conversation. They can't look at you directly in the eye. They can't. they just kind of literally just to their self. And
Mm-hmm.
so it makes it hard for them to kind of be in the world, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Because now they don't know how to get a job. Now they don't know how to talk to people.
Yes.
Now they don't know how to be social to other people. Now they even have a disconnect with feelings. So
Mm,
now they don't know how to just be around others, how to help others. Because they so used to being by themselves, they like, I ain't about to deal with them because I'm just be by myself.
right.
So it's very important.
Where do
It's really
those
important.
feelings go if they don't have a person to talk to? If they don't have a routine, if they don't have like what you've set out, what the Life Center has set out, a whole plan. We're going to get up, we're going to prep your food, we're going to get your medication. If they don't have that sense of stability, it almost to me, it may set them back.
It can. It can set them back. I mean, it's all about what's taught at home first.
Hmm.
So if you one of them, because everybody's house is set different.
Yes.
Some parents are they feel like you should be independent and I shouldn't have to help you. And some parents are in denial. So you have to
Mm,
remember every because when they hear the word handicap or autism or anything that they feel like is not normal for their kid, some parents become so like in denial. Ain't nothing
wow.
wrong with my child. Or they become like, or they look at it as if it's a bad thing because their kid is autistic. No,
Mhm.
your kid is one of the smartest kids ever because
See?
they have stronger abilities than what most other kids don't have. Like
Mhm.
I'll use my brother example. When my brother, with him being autistic, he's grown a lot. Don't get me wrong, my brother has outgrown a lot of things that they say he could not do. But my
Wow.
brother is he's very organized. He's a twin. He's organized. The boy can fix whatever it is. I swear. If you have a TV that broke, he gonna figure out a way how to fix that TV for you.
Yes.
Um, but you might like his twin is the opposite. Like Jordan is organized, but his twin is not organized.
Mhm.
So and they're twins, but just he loves numbers. Like he likes to do math. He's very organized. He's very he likes to fix on things. And you might have somebody who, like me, I don't know how to fix on no TV. I'm gonna take it to the V squad and have them fix it because I don't know what I'm doing. But because my brother is he's intrigued by okay, the TV is not working. How can I get it fixed?
Mhm.
That's something that's very to me. That's an outgoing thing. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Like that's showing them okay, I'm smart. I know
Yeah.
what to do. So it's I hate it because again I hate when parents have this thing where they feel like they're in denial and their kid is fine. Yeah, your kid is good, but you still need to provide them with some type of care. You still need to
Yeah.
provide them with some type of help because some things we're not gonna always know. Even with autism now, it's still things that we don't know about autism.
Wow.
There's still things that they're still researching on about autism because
Mhm.
it's still we don't understand why the mind does what it does.
Yes.
So it's nothing, again, ain't nothing wrong with your child. I don't care if they
Right.
don't speak, ain't nothing wrong with them. But it's the fact that you just got to give them a little bit more help, a little bit more care. It doesn't make it, and it just because you have like more than one kid, but that one kid is autistic, don't mean that you have to just shower that kid with so much love. You can still give the same love equally. It's
Yeah.
just that kid needs a little bit more help. That's all it is. But again, some parents especially back in the day, especially with because like my clients is like 40 to 50 years old. Well,
Mhm.
their parents didn't know what was wrong with them. So they kind of just put them in the home and said,
Yes.
we just gonna come and see when we can. You know what I'm saying? We not gonna really be there with them. And there's nothing
Yes.
wrong with that. Maybe they just didn't know what to do for their kids. But now it's too much help out here.
Yeah.
Like you have ABA therapy, you have you have the Children's Center. They provide a lot of care.
Mhm.
You have so many different agencies and companies that's willing to help you to help your child, or that y'all
Yes.
can work together with your child so that your kid can get the proper care. So
Yeah.
it's really imperative. It's so imperative to be social with your kid, to have to care for your kid, to be there for your kid, not just dumping them off somewhere. That's whack. That's just that's you're not even thinking about the later effects for your kid, what's
Yes.
gonna happen.
And I think
So yeah.
that's the thing. When back in the day, I'm talking 30 plus years ago, it wasn't so much group homes, it was institutions.
Oh yeah, it was what's that word? You had different asylums
Yes,
for people, and those was the worst because they just literally they like mistreated some people so bad. They tortured
yes,
them people
yes,
so bad.
yes. And then when I can't think of which governor that was. I want to say Engler, but I could be wrong. But one particular governor came in and he started shutting them down, and
Mm-mm.
took a lot of the funding for the institutions. And that's when we started to see more group homes pop up. And I can say it, we have a lot of them in my neighborhood. And I love, love, love interacting with the consumers. They bring them to the library. I love the library. I'm old. I got computers at home, I got phones, I got whatever, but it's for me, it's something about the library. So I love to be able to interact with the consumers because they're so friendly. Some of the most friendly. I've gotten hugs,
Mhm.
high fives, and I just love it. And I'm a person who just loves people, period. But going back to when it comes to children, I think where we miss the mark is as a parent, no matter what your child is facing, autism or not, whatever, doesn't matter. You need to get to know that child for who they are as an individual and find out what they like. Every child has something unique that they like, autism or not. And when we
Mhm.
don't hone in on that child's individuality and what they like and what we can do to support them in what they like, if it's numbers, math, dinosaurs, whatever it is, we miss the mark there. I think as
We
parents, we
don't.
really got to be present in our children's lives. And this program that you described, it's amazing how much input is and thought is put into what they're doing through the day so that
Mhm.
those motor skills and mind skills and intellectual skills stay stimulated and they can grow into a productive adult.
Yes.
Very
Um,
important.
it's very, very important because again, it starts at home and it starts when they're young. When
Mhm.
they're not taught how to be um how to be able to it's like so when you're a kid, they learn everything as they're young. And then when they get older and they're trying to adapt in life as an adult, it's hard for them because their parents didn't give them that team or didn't give them the guidance that they needed or the
Right.
skills that they needed because again, they didn't teach them when they was kids. And I go through that a lot.
Wow.
Because again, their parents didn't teach them.
Mhm.
So now it's been very hard because their parents never showed them.
Right. And in some cases, you mentioned this, in some cases, when it comes to the adults, when they were children, we just didn't know. We didn't
Hmm.
have all the resources at our fingertips. We couldn't just Google, how do I help my son that has blank? We didn't have that. And parents just, out of their own naivety or just not knowing, oh, that's just my son so and so. He just stays to himself. Just leave him alone. But now, like you mentioned, there are all kinds of resources and all kinds of help because I'm sure parents, whether you're a single parent or you have a two-parent home, you need support. And that's why I
Yep.
wanted to make sure we talked about this because support is here, even for those who have adult children, adult grandchildren who have these different life circumstances. Don't lead them just to their own devices and just sit in a room staring at a wall. Here is an excellent way where they can interact with people, have goals that they set. And when it comes to therapy, when you were talking about setting goals, I thought about therapy. They ask you, "What's your goal for the day?" And how are you going to reach
Mhm.
that goal? And then after a certain amount of time, they go back. Well, did you reach your goal? I mean, goals are important for all of us. We should all have some
It
kind of goal.
definitely is very important.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about what did you have to do in terms of your education or knowledge to be able to become a home manager?
Um, well, it's really for me at Life Center. They do training.
Okay.
So if you don't have any type of trainings, they do train you. Of course, for like first aid and CPR, they train you for all the little different things like bloodborne pathogens and
Hmm.
um, but some stuff just it's kind of like it comes natural for me, but
Okay.
for other people who just don't have the skills, you can like just try to take all the trainings that you can.
Okay.
Um, from if they offer it to you. If
Okay.
they offer you training, take them on. Sometimes, like as of now, due to COVID, everything has kind of been online.
Hmm.
Not just for CPR. So CPR was not online,
Okay.
but I had to refresh it. But for people, because they kind of get annoyed, like, oh, it's online. Yeah, it's online for now. Maybe it may change, but still try to learn as much as you can because some of that stuff does help. It does help you understand how to work with them better.
Hmm.
Um, but for me to be the home manager, for me being working in just working as a regular staff for all them years, that kind of helped because I've had the experience over the years.
Okay.
Um, it, and like it wasn't just given to me. You know, you got to work hard for the things that you want.
Yes.
And I just kind of watch my other bosses that I've had over the years of how they operated homes, and it's like once you've been in this field for so long, you begin to learn ins and outs of that business.
Yes. Yes.
Even when working with kids, you begin to learn the ins and outs. I went off to school. I took probably 2 years in just social work, but even then, that still didn't really help me with like actually, like the physical part. It's
Hmm.
one thing if you learning off piece of paper, but you really get your learning
On the
by
job
working.
training.
Yeah, that's really how you get. I'm serious. That's exactly how you get how you get all your training, all your skills. You get it by just being on the job and like just working with them. Once you build a report with them, you good. Once you learn how to build a report, that's really where it's at. Once you learn how to build a report with that person
Hmm.
or learn how to build a report, it helps you throughout working with
Yes.
anybody. Because you
Yes.
just can't go on a job and just start demanding and thinking they don't know. It don't work like that. Because just as you watching them, they watching you, and they trying
Yes.
to learn your weaknesses. Trust me, my guys, they some characters, and I love them. But they do try you sometimes and be like, okay, I'm about to see if this gonna make her mad or see, because they trying to get to know you. They trying to see are you weak or are you strong.
Hmm. That's good.
So
And you
yeah.
mentioned building a rapport. Whatever you do, whatever occupation that you find yourself in, whether it can involves consumers or customers, building a rapport is what differentiate you from anybody else. You want to have that
Correct.
connection. And when it comes to working with people, human beings, they want to feel a connection. They wanna
Hmm.
know that you're genuinely caring for them and that you have their best interest in mind.
Hmm.
I think that's awesome work. How does someone reach out to the Life Center if they have someone, in their family that needs this type of help? And it mentioned on the website, you all go to people's homes and do in-home?
Yeah, we do in-home. So we go to people's homes and we have in-home. In-home is basically group homes or licensed group homes.
Mhm.
Because there's a difference between licensed and unlicensed. Um, but we also go into the home. So you you may be a guardian who may not feel comfortable with your daughter or son going into somebody else's home. You want
Okay.
them to be at home. So you say, okay, well, I want this person to come to me because I don't feel comfortable with them going somewhere else.
Okay.
So we do send people out to their homes and you get to learn, you get to know them there. And it really, to me, I feel like that's better sometimes because you really get to see the real them.
In their
When you,
environment.
yeah,
Yes.
so you get to see how they really operate
Mhm.
in their actual home setting. Because sometimes, when you're in a group home setting, it's everything is it's a schedule behind it. But
Okay.
when you going into their home, they ain't got no schedule because they based off they're at home.
Right.
They're comfortable in their own environment. So now you kind of just seeing how their day-to-day routine is
Mhm.
versus when you have something already planned out for them.
Okay. And then with the in-home, you still have that same partnership in terms of having a support coordinator, a therapist, workshop.
Um,
You'll have all that?
Sometimes.
Okay.
It depends because it really depends on the case
Mhm.
of the person. You go in some homes, they may not go to workshop. They may just literally stay at home all day.
Mhm.
So it depends on the care that they need.
Okay.
Um, if they're a person or a consumer that needs like 24-hour care and they can't go anywhere, then you're there in that home for 24 hours.
Wow.
You may go out, go grocery shopping. Like I've done in homes before.
Mhm.
So sometimes you do take them shopping.
Okay.
Yes, you have to use your own vehicle, but
Mhm.
you take them grocery shopping. And they may have a goal within it. It may say they have to only buy healthy food. So you are there to help them pick out all the healthy food that they need. They
Yes.
might be on a strict diet, and they say, okay, they can only be where they can have like a dairy diet.
Okay.
Okay, we now gotta help them show them all the dairy products that they can have. They can't have this, they can't have that, they can't have no pop, they can't have no chips, but they can have all this dairy stuff.
Right.
So you are there for a reason when you're in home because sometimes their guardians have set rules in place that they can only do.
Okay.
Like they can only have certain foods or they can only go certain places or they only want them to be just in the home.
Right.
Sometimes they need help with bathing. They may need help with putting laundry away.
Okay.
Because a lot of them can't do their laundry. So you might have to do their laundry. You may have to go in there and bathe them. It just all depends on what the type of care that they need.
Okay. Okay. How do you all work with them when it comes to jobs? Are there certain organizations that Life Center has partnered with to provide certain types of jobs? How does that part work?
Um, so some of them may just go out and get a regular job,
Okay.
and they do let the company know, hey, well, we don't, but the guardian can let them know, hey,
Mhm.
my son or daughter has some type of mental disability or physical disability, but because they can't deny them, they can't discriminate to them, they can't, they like they can get hired, but we have to let them know that this person have this issue,
Okay.
and we do have someone that needs a job, so they'll sometimes hire them in.
Okay.
We may not necessarily be a job coach to
Mhm.
them.
Mhm.
They may go through another company that does the job coaching program. So
Oh,
like um, we may not connect with them through the job coaching program,
mhm.
but like their support coordinator may call and say, "Hey, I'm going to set them up in this program where they can get a job, and um, they'll start on this day." Or in my case, I do have a guy that is at workshop, but
Mhm.
one of the people there at the workshop has called me personally and said, "I want to put him in this program where he can get a job." And
Wow.
then I'll refer them over to you, and then they'll call you. And so then that person will call me. I'll
Mhm.
talk to them. The guardian will talk to them, and then we'll go try to set them up to where they can get a job. So it all depends on who refers it. It may not be based off of us. We may not refer it, but
Mhm.
their guardian can refer it, or the workshop that they work at, they will refer it to that company
Okay.
and get them a job.
Okay. Awesome. And how can anyone reach Life Center if they want to ask more questions about the program because they may have a loved one that may need your services? How can they reach you?
What they can do is they can go on our website, which is www.lifecenterinc.net. You can go on there. You will see both of our locations. We have a Macomb office that's on Utica Road. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the addresses because one of our offices just moved. Our Livonia office just moved into another location in Livonia.
Oh,
So I
wow.
used to know the old address really well, but I don't know this new address that well because we literally just moved. So, but we are in Livonia and we are on that address. So I know it's 36975 and it's Utica Road. It's right there off of Utica and like Hayes area. Um, and it's like in like a little complex. You can reach, you can, but definitely when you go on the website, you'll get both phone numbers and both addresses, and you can go forward from there. You can email whoever is in charge of our emails and phone calls, and they will get you where you need to be.
That is awesome. And I just love the way when you were describing how you care for the consumers and how you take the time to walk through their goal plan and make sure that they are living the most meaningful life possible and having a good quality of life. I think that's just awesome. And hats off to you and hats off to all
Thank
of them
you.
at the Life Center. Thank you for all that you do. What can the community do to help? What can we do?
What you can do is just spread the word about who we are.
Okay.
And we do, I believe we do volunteer work. If you're not really interested in working there, but you're doing a volunteer, I believe we do have that as well.
Mhm.
Um, you also can donate. I believe that they do take in donations. And if not, like I said, just spread the word about us. We have been around for a long time. And we went through we had our ups and downs with the company, but the company itself loves and cares about the consumers. That's like their main focus. They
Yeah.
love their consumers. If they don't do nothing else, they make sure that our consumers are good, and they all are good. All our homes are ran perfectly. We all have good managers and higher ups. Everybody plays a part to where they make sure that our consumers are living good. They
Mhm.
are well taken care of, and we don't miss a beat. So I could just basically say, just spread the word. That's the best way that you can
Mhm.
help us out. And just so that we can get our name out there. So people, because we've been around for a while, but like I said, people are
Mhm.
like, I've never heard of them or I have. And, just, or come be a part of the team. It's just
Wonderful.
what you can do as
Wonderful.
well.
Awesome. I want to talk about Kai. What do you have going on? What you up to?
So I have a nonprofit called Kylie Cares Resource Center. Right now I just provide resources for people and how that came about was because so many people come to me and ask me about things, and I feel like they always feel like I know the answer, and I just look at them and
Mm-hmm.
I laugh. But so I should provide resources for people, whether it's with clothing, shoes, jobs that's hiring, um, shelters that may be having openings. So if I know it, I try to provide it for that person. If I don't know it, I always refer them to somebody else who may know the answer. So that's how Kylie Cares Resource Center came about. Um, but my plans looking forward is I eventually want to open up my own transitional home because I know the ins and
Oh,
outs of it so well.
wow.
Um, but I just have been I've been taking my time with it and I shouldn't take my time with it because the Lord has already told me just to do what I need to do. But I keep getting scared and I keep getting
Mhm.
nervous and I'm like, no,
Okay.
I don't want to do it this way. But eventually, I will have my own transitional home. I
Yeah,
do want to have
will.
a building for just my resource center as well, just so that I don't have to. Because at some point I want to work for myself, and I don't
Come
want to
on.
just always work for someone else. I want to have my own business so that I can be more at home and um, just to have more time for me. Because
Yes.
I've worked hard my whole entire life, and right now I feel like it's time for me to just kind of take the ease on things.
Yes.
So, but that's what's coming forward. I'm just trying to get all my things together so that I can provide this transitional home. And I want to go into the ages of 18 to 25.
Okay.
Because I feel like they'll be a little bit more mature and actually really want it. Because
Hmm.
people can say, well, yeah, I want to be on my own. I want to do better in life. And sometimes they don't take it seriously and they just kind of play
Yeah.
around with it and they're like, oh, I can come back to that because I know it's always there. And I don't want them to think that this is going to be something that's always there for you. No, I want you to take it seriously
Yes.
and move forward with their life. I want them to be able to be on their own. I want to see people get help. I want to see young mothers be able to transition into, okay, they're
Yes.
going in this home, but after that, after 6 months or a year, now they can get their own place and now they can be on their own with their kids and they don't have to rely on, help from us. Now they can actually be
Yes.
independent, have a job, and take care of their kids on their own. So that the next person can come in and go and get the same help that they got. So
I can see you doing that, sis.
So if you hear my background, I have kids upstairs and they
Oh,
playing.
you fine. I could see you doing that. And that age group that you define, 18 to 25, that's that pivotal time when you are entering into adulthood, and you might
Mhm.
you might need a little push, a little guidance. Am I going to
Yeah,
college? Am I what do I want to do in life? What's my occupational goal? It's such a critical stage of getting grounded.
correct, correct. I with me working with so many kids, I've seen so many young men because I work with a lot of boys.
Mhm.
When I was working with kids, and I've seen a lot of young men in and out the system, in and out of jail,
Yep.
or in and out of prison,
Mhm.
or they just struggling really, really bad. Like I've seen them, on the streets, and they be like, "Hey, Miss G," and I turn around, I'm like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And they telling me what's going on with them, and and I hate to see that because I want to see you do well. And then don't get
Yes.
me wrong, I have seen some that do well, but majority of it is they are struggling. And that's because again they didn't get the aftercare that it was needed for them. So and I do plan on with my transitional housing provide aftercare to make sure that they're
Yes.
getting what they needed or
Right.
or what do they need even more even after the aftercare. Do they still need help? Can we do a outside program where they can get still get the help without having to be in the actual program? So
Right.
those are my ideas and plans and things I want to do.
I think that's awesome. And I think the transitional part is key because no matter what kind of program it is, whether you helping young people cope with issues, whether it's for alcohol, whether it's for drugs, whether it's just for mental illness, whatever, transition, that's the key. People need that
Mhm.
help going from the program and finding where they fit into society, and taking those mechanisms that they learn and moving them into practical application. Sometimes it's easier and it's comfortable when you with the group home and you got your team is right there. But what happens when it's time for you to go on your own and they start
Correct.
saying, where's my team? I'm scared.
Mhm.
This world is crazy. They need that extra help that says, we got you. Just stay the course. Remember the goals. Work your plan. I love that transitional care. And I pray that you are able to do that this year, Kai.
Thank you.
That's my prayer for you because I can tell how much you care just from talking to you, and even with our messages back and forth, how much you care for people, and people come to you because you care. You are the
Yeah,
go-to because you exude love and kindness. So,
yeah. A
and
lot of
that's
people
what
do,
people
and some people
need.
I don't even know, and I just, I just be like, okay, what? Like it was about 6 months ago. I was at my best friend's house, and his god brother walked up to me, didn't know me, and was like, "You're the girl I need to see." And I looked at him like, "What?" And he was like, "I need." He
Like,
said,
all
"I
right,
need to see." I was like, "Who are you?" And he was like, "I don't, it's god brother." And he was like, He's like, "I need somewhere to stay. I need a house." He's like, any place that have any apartments or houses?" And I was like, "Okay, give me a couple of days. I'll see what I got." So,
see,
but it was just so weird. It was just like one of the encounters, like, okay, but I embrace it all. I take it in and I try to help as much as I can.
and
So,
that's awesome. I got a sister just like that. That she's the hub. It don't matter
yeah,
what's going on. If whatever you need, a place to stay, or shelter, a hotel room, or discount discount case of chicken, whatever. I mean, it's just she just got
listen,
so much
whatever it is.
information.
And I have collaborated with other people. A couple of years ago, I collaborated with DJ Mars. She's one of my good friends. She does a lot of DJing around the city, and me and her, we went up to Flint, donated like 300 cases of water. It was me, her, and another girl. We
Wow.
had donated water to Flint. I have collaborated with like a few other people, but so I do those as well. I do collaborate with other people if they are in need of donations or help. So I do that. So I'm always looking forward to helping somebody out or other nonprofits that may need help. So I'm always aboard on that as well.
Awesome. So if someone wanted to donate to your nonprofit, can you tell them how to do that?
If it's like merchandise like clothing or socks or shoes, they can
Mhm.
call me. My number is 313-736-0717. They can reach me on Facebook, Ky Gibson. I also have a page for my nonprofit. It's called Kylie Cares Resource Center. It is on Facebook. They can reach out to me there. They can email me at kyliecares109@gmail.com. So there's so many different ways that they can reach out to me. If they want to financially sow, they
Mhm.
can sow to my cash app, which is a dollar sign hold on, KG89109, because I just changed that as well. So, but they can donate so many different ways. If they want to help volunteer with me, if I do have something coming up, they can just reach out to me and I will let them know what's coming up next.
Was that dollar sign K as in Kai?
K dot G
Uh-huh.
89109.
Awesome. Awesome. So, what I want to get into now, the title of this show is talking about emotional wellness. And in your occupation and what you do with the consumers, Kai, do you find that this time of year, are the consumers dealing with a little bit more emotion, not being with family, or is it, kind of tough?
It is very tough because their families may be out of town,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so like for the holidays, I try to make it as much happy around the house as much as possible. I try to make it as colorful and
Mm-hmm.
just have a peace that they
Yes.
are, even though your real family is not here with you, we are your family too. So we're here to help you be as much as home as possible or just to feel love. So like for the holidays, I always get food catered to them.
Oh,
I
wow.
make sure that they have. Now I can cook it if I want to, or I can have my
Mm-hmm.
staff cook it. But I try not to put so much work with that part because we
Mm-hmm.
already have to decorate and get
Yes.
that because I have to put all the gifts under the tree and all of that. So,
Right.
but I try to have the house decorated, the food catered, and so that they just feel okay. It's a good atmosphere. Um, Thankfully, with my consumers, two of their families are coming up here on Christmas. They're the only two families who have people out of town. Their family out of town. So a lot of times, some of them do get to go home, and then some of them their families come into town and they do celebrate with them. So that's a good thing. But it's outside of my home. It is so important that the families come and visit their children or their kids or even their grown kids. It's so important because they know what is going on. They know it's the holidays. They know Christmas is coming up. So they want to feel included too, because we get to go home to our families and celebrate with
Right.
them if we can. But sometimes if you're not scheduled, like for me, I'm even thinking about coming in on Christmas because my staff want to go home to their family. So
Mhm.
I'll even volunteer to say, okay, well, I'll come in on Christmas and we spend time with them just so that they can still feel the love. Now we can, if the guardians say yes, it's cool, we can
Mhm.
take them to our houses and we can, and they can
Wow.
celebrate with us. But that's if the guardians is okay with it. If they're not
Right.
okay with it, it's gonna be if they're at the home celebrating together, eating and just celebrating together. So it's really important. It's just so important that they get to feel at home and celebrate
Yeah.
as well.
Yes. So what I do on my show, Kai, when we have a particular topic, I always like to talk about um how we feel about it. And then I also look up at least an article or a book or something that kind of lends
Hmm.
more information to our topic. So I found this article from the Mayo Clinic about stress management during the holiday and some tips, some really good tips, y'all, for coping. So what they are
Okay.
saying is people tend to get depressed around this time of year, uh, mainly because we put so much pressure on ourselves. Like if you're the one that's cooking, you want to make sure your food is this, your food is that, and the pressure of, the pandemic. Should I have the whole family, half the family to wear a mask, not to wear a mask? And sometimes that pressure can turn into depression, it could turn into stress, can turn into
Mhm.
anxiety. Some of the tips that this article suggests, ladies and gentlemen, for overcoming stress and depression, the number one, acknowledge your feelings. For me, The holiday time is bittersweet. I've lost a few relatives in the last couple of years, and I also have a relative that I am not in a good place with that's alive. So when the
Okay.
holiday comes and you're normally around, your family and you're having a good time, sometimes that time of year can be a little tough because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be separated from your family, either because of death or because of, family issues. But what the article is saying is pay attention to how you feel. It's saying acknowledge your feelings and sit in that truth. And what I add to that is be emotionally intelligent for yourself. If you're feeling
Mm-hmm.
down, you can talk to somebody about that. Get some support. Don't isolate too much because sometimes the isolation makes you replay the issues over and over, and next thing you're depressed. But the main thing is if you are feeling a certain type of way during this season, to be okay with not being okay for the moment. I ain't saying stay there, but for some people, this season is difficult. There is a disease called seasonal affective disorder syndrome, or SADS. This time of the year makes people, more depressed because of certain past issues, trauma, death. So, while we're out here and many of us are enjoying it, and I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy it, but we have to be mindful and cognizant of the fact that there's a whole population of people out here um that have a troubled time around this time of the year. Have you known that to
Mm-hmm.
be true in your circle too, Kai?
It has. Even with some of my friends, they are going through that. And then for myself, it's like what it's like, especially with Christmas come around, I always look forward to it because I only get to see my dad two times out of a year because he comes up here to, either for Christmas or Fourth of July. So I
Mhm.
always get excited about it, where I know he's coming. But it has been trying, because I have lost some loved ones as
Mhm.
well in this, at the beginning of this year. And
Mhm.
so now that they're not here, it is different. It feels different. But what I've learned how for me, because everybody grieves differently, and everybody deal with
Yeah,
things differently. For me, I'm the kind of person I kind of hide in my job, so I kind of just I work through it, to kind of just keep me afloat. Is that the best thing to do? No,
mhm.
but it is good to talk to somebody about it, and let them know what's going on with you. If that's really important because we can always look at somebody and tell that something is not right, but if you don't talk to them and let them know what's wrong, a person can never help you because
That's right.
we don't know how to help you because you are talking to your feelings, and it's okay to do that, but you still need to talk to somebody so that we can
Yeah,
maybe provide a plan or to help you how to get to overcome it.
yes.
Um, so it's really important to just talk to somebody and let them know what's wrong so that you can find ways to deal with it better.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. The article also talks about number one is acknowledging your feelings, two is reaching out, three is being realistic. So if you know you're hosting the holiday dinner and maybe your finances aren't the way they were last year, and maybe last year you were able to cover everything and you didn't ask people to bring nothing, but it may not be the same. So maybe you need to say, okay, y'all, this year I'm gonna need us to potluck. Let's coordinate. I'm gonna need some help because that can be a financial burden if you feeding 25, 30 people on your own, and nobody's helping out. So be realistic and make sure you are honest with your family and say, I know you all are used to me, because we got my aunt down through the years, my auntie cooked for all of us, and for a while she didn't ask us to bring nothing. That's just how she was.
Okay.
But then as I got older, I'm like thinking, that's a lot of money she's spending because she got three meats, seven starches, three desserts, five vegetables. So
Yeah.
as we got older and we're working and we got families, it's like, I think we can all bring a dish or two. And she's older too. So our
Yeah.
parents and aunts and uncles who always host us, they're getting older. So it's a good idea to, you know what, Auntie, we gonna all bring something. Or if you know it's your turn to host and you can't cover it all, just say, family, let's just potluck. Ain't nothing wrong with a good potluck.
Ain't
You got
nothing
a pot,
wrong.
you in luck. Come on in. Come on
Correct. Ain't nothing wrong with farm luncheon. I love it because people can bring in that dish that they they know how to make really
in.
well.
Yes.
So,
Yes. And I'm so grateful because when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was always bringing the paper products in the pot. But now I have graduated to green beans and white potatoes and ham. So, and dressing sometimes. So I'm being trusted with a few more things now. So I am grateful to be able to
okay.
contribute, a little bit more. The next thing on the article says about coping with stress and depression is set aside differences. Now, I struggle with this because sometimes when you have family drama, family issues, family challenges, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you should set it aside. The holiday is a time for sharing and caring. But for some of us, depending on the deep wound that might be there,
Mm-hmm.
you may not be able to say, oh, sure, I can sit in front of them and have dinner, depending on what's the dynamics of what's going on. But overall, I agree with the article. If you can set aside the issues, because life is short.
Absolutely.
And some stuff, you need to just talk about it, forgive, but other stuff, people don't want to talk about. And for Latanya, if your behavior hasn't changed, because I love my peace of mind, I may not be able to deal. But
Yeah.
I can hold it down if you're in the room, but it may be a little uncomfortable for me because some of us have families where there's been some real deep rooted hurt that has gone
Oh
on.
yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah, absolutely.
deep
I've
rooted stuff.
experienced that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and what I've learned over the years is once you see a person for who they are, you just learn how to deal with them accordingly. That's what
that's
I do.
good, guy.
Um, if I know you just gonna start some stuff, I'm gonna know how to deal with you. But I've learned when I learn a person, because I'm more of a observer, so I always
Mhm.
observe people and I always watch people. And so once I've learned who you are and how you are, I just know how to deal with you accordingly. I'm not gonna do too much. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm really not gonna make the situation uncomfortable for everybody because it ain't just me and you in the room. It's the whole
Right,
family. So
right,
I'm gonna just deal with you accordingly. And then outside of that, then okay, you can hit me up after this. You know
right,
what I'm saying? Because we're not
right,
gonna do this. This is a family,
right.
time. I'm just not about to deal with that. So I just deal with you. I just learn to deal with you how you are. And so if you're the kind of person that got to just keep talking, I'm gonna let you talk. I'm not gonna go back. I'm not gonna go argue with you. I'm gonna wait till after the fact, and then I'm gonna give you some choice words. But for right
Mhm.
now, no.
I like that, Kai. Deal with people where they are. Let them be who they are. I only can control my reaction. So I can't control what they say. And some people, family outings turn into arguments. We haven't had that. I thank the Lord that God has blessed us to be able to deal with whatever issues we've had outside of the family Christmas and Thanksgiving dinner. Let that be a time of fellowship, and we don't need to bring all of that personal stuff to the table at that moment. So I'm glad you said that, Kai. Number 5 is stick to the budget. Okay, America and other countries, y'all out here acting like y'all balling. If you only have a certain amount of money for Christmas gifts, that's fine. Do not, okay, you can sit up here and blow your check and be poor January 1 if you want. LHG ain't never succumb to that foolishness. I know my resources, I know my limits. If I can't get you a gift, you will know in advance. I'm so sorry. Because this time last year, Kai, I was working. Money was a little bit more plentiful. But right now I've been taking care of myself. So I'm not able to do what I would want to do for everybody in terms of Christmas. But I'm still gonna show up. I'm still gonna, come to the events, and I'm still gonna be there. I'm still gonna have a good time. And it feels awkward to not be able to do, what I'm accustomed to doing. But the most important part is the family moment. If you can't hand out envelopes and cash everybody out like you would like to, and you can't give out gifts like you would like to, that's okay. Just know your limits, know your budget, and be creative with your gift giving. It don't have to cost a whole lot of money to be able to show your love to someone. So the article says stick to the budget. And even if you try something different, maybe this year you feed the homeless, maybe this year you make the gifts yourself. You know, homemade gifts are wonderful. Or maybe a gift exchange versus everybody trying to buy for everybody. That takes some of the pressure off of the holiday. Don't think you have to come in there, balling and shot calling. You don't really have it, and then now you didn't use the rent money, the phone bill, your phone cut off, all because you didn't went out here trying to appear to have all this money. I think you on mute, Kai. Go ahead.
Programs under that provide so much for kids, especially for kids. It's
Mm-hmm.
within the last month, I have seen so many different giveaways, and
Mm-hmm.
it's too much. You got Salvation Army giving away stuff. You got Toys for Tots. You got
Yeah,
all these plethora of programs, especially for the kids. They have a lot. But even if you don't have any money, it's okay. It's
it's
okay to
okay.
say, I don't have it this time. But what I can do is either make like no, just like you said, make something homemade, or I got y'all next time, or
Right.
maybe I can provide a dish to bring something, and even if you do come empty-handed, it's okay. You
It's
just don't
okay.
have it this time.
That's right.
So
Right. I'm glad you brought up those programs because families, since COVID and jobs being lost and different financial changes, you may find that you're in a place where I want to be able to provide for my children. Normally, I'm able to give them all these gifts. Be honest with your children. And they may already know that, but just talk to them. Honey, I can maybe do one gift, or I'm reaching out to an organization. I can remember myself many years ago when were really really tough for me. There were a few organizations that helped me. Even my daughter's school gave us gift
mm,
cards. It's just you got to say something. There's
oh yeah,
so much out here for that particular reason. If you know you can't, for whatever reason, hardship comes and goes, but these
mm,
programs are meant to help provide while you're in that moment. And then when you get back on your feet, donate and help other families. Pay it forward. Pay it forward. The next one is plan ahead. So the article is saying if you know you have to do shopping and cooking and different activities, don't get stressed. Just use a planner and be strategic and plan what you're doing. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't take the fun and the beauty out of the holiday by making it chaotic. Maybe you can sit some things out this year. Just make sure you are taking care of yourself, but plan ahead. If you know the holiday comes every year, set aside what time you're going to do your cooking, your chopping, your shopping, or whatever you got to do. And number 7 is my favorite, Kai. Learn to say no. How you avoid getting stressed out and depressed, worn out, downtrodden, whatever during the holidays. If you can't do it, let no be your friend.
that
And
is the best answer you can ever give. Is no. You
yes,
don't have to say yes every time to everything. If you know you can't do it, it's no. It's
yes,
that simple.
yes, and do so unapologetically. Because I sometimes will do a no, and I'm like, well, maybe I could figure out and move this. No,
Yeah.
no. When you
I used to
say
have
no,
that so bad. I used to have it really,
period
really
there,
bad.
not a comma. Put a period after the
Mm-mm.
no, and you don't really,
Absolutely.
worry about explaining. You're just unable to do it, and just it goes back to being honest and realistic. Number 8, don't abandon healthy habits. The article says do not let the holiday become a free for all. Try not to overindulge. Try to stay healthy if you can. Do things in moderation. Have your healthy snacks in between all the holiday food. Get plenty of sleep. Okay, y'all, my Black Friday shoppers that
Mhm.
might have been at the store at 2 a.m. You're gonna have to make up for those good hours of sleep and get back on point. It says try deep breathing exercises, meditation, yoga, no alcohol or excessive alcohol or drug use. We're talking about de-stressing here. Number 9 is take a breather and know when to give yourself rest. So some of us who are like the nucleus of our family, we tend to overdo, and because we love our family so much, but sometimes when you overdo it, you compromise yourself, your immune system, because you're trying to be everything to everybody. So those matriarchs out there who've been running themselves raggedy, Big Mama and all them trying to feed the whole neighborhood and do everything. Let these children help. Let these grandchildren help you. You ain't got to do it all by yourself. And that's the way you can take care of yourself. And the last one is if you need to seek help, if the holiday time of the year depresses you so much to where you are considering hurting yourself, you're deeply depressed and persistently sad and anxious and angry and feeling hopeless, you need to get some help. There is a crisis line, which is just 988. If you feel as though you can hurt yourself or harm somebody else, you need to really get help. I am a very big advocate of therapy. In our community, that hasn't been
Mhm.
popular down through the years, but when it comes to LHG, I believe in therapy. Many of us have been holding on to things in our minds and our hearts that we haven't addressed. It's manifesting itself now in our relationships because we haven't gotten help. So one way, the final way to avoid stressing out and just losing it during the holiday is to get help if you need help. Reach out and also get help. So my last thing I want to talk
Yes,
about
thank you.
is Kai. Um, I want to go back to something that you said earlier about your consumers and how you help them with their goals and different things like that. Do you have does Life Center partner with other people that come in and do presentations to the consumers, or do you all do it yourself?
Um, we kind of do it ourselves, but
Hmm.
I wouldn't say that they are opposed to other people coming in and doing presentations.
Hmm.
But they, for the most part, kind of do it within themselves. But if they have others come in, it's based off party contract.
Yeah.
That part I'm not really sure of. Like, as far as like maybe like I'm gonna give an example, like our CPR and first aid, that is through a company that they have to reach out to and
Mhm.
say, hey, okay, we need you to come in and do a presentation. So it really is all, it's just really like, it depends on what they're looking for.
Mhm.
Other than that, I would not know.
When it comes to their emotional wellness, is that left up to the
Now,
home
that
care
can be,
therapist?
yes.
Okay.
Um, if they are going through some emotional things where they may need therapy,
Hmm.
as a manager, as a home manager, we can see when something is wrong with our consumer. So if we see something is wrong, we will reach out to their psychiatrist or their therapist and say, hey, we need you to come in and talk to them. And sometimes it may not be within Life Center. That's for sure outside of Life Center.
Mhm.
So if they have a therapist, more than likely their therapist is through whoever their support coordinator is through. Like right now, we are through we have more. So we're gonna reach out to Morgan and say, hey Morgan, okay, we need the therapist to come in. And they're gonna come in and talk to my guys and say, okay, what's wrong? Or how can we help them? Or what have you noticed in their behavior that is making them emotional? And we would just tell it,
Is that
and
MORC, Kai? What does that stand for?
yes. I don't even know I don't know what more to say, but it is MRC.
MORC. Okay.
But they just partner with Easter Seals. I
Ah,
do know that. So Easter Seals and Morton just partnered up together. So I'm not sure what they have in plan in their
mhm,
future, but they probably got some good stuff going on with them within the future of the company. So now it's called Easter Seals Morton. Now it's not just Morton anymore. So
mhm.
but they do give referrals to therapists that if you are in need of one. So they do that.
Good.
And right now I'm in the process of doing that now with two of
Okay.
my guys. So it can happen. You can go outside of Life Center to get therapy.
Okay. How do you take care of Kai's emotional wellness? All that you give out, Kai, the countless hours that you give out to consumers, how do you take care of Kai?
That is such a good question. Because a lot of times I don't take care of Kai. To
Okay.
be very honest, I don't. What I do though, once because I'm always on call for my staff because if something is wrong, they do have to call me. So I always make sure that they can always reach me. But most of the time, they kind of have it down pat. They don't need me as much.
Mm-hmm.
But when I get home or once I get in my car, I try to decompress whatever was going on at work that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I put my music on some days and I just ride out and I just let go of everything that was going on at work.
That's good.
Um, if I can't do it that way, maybe I might sit in my car in silence and just pray about it. Say, Lord, okay, today was a hard day, and I just need you to get me to just get home and get to the rest of the evening.
Yeah.
It's all about what's going on in that day. Some days are easier than others. As a home manager, it's definitely not easy because you're dealing with your staff emotions and their issues and their problems, and you're trying to figure out how you can make sure you can cover staff if they need to call off, or because I've had staff go through death in their family. Meaning like their kids just died, and now I got to provide some type of help for them because now I got to come in and cover it so that they can deal with what's going on at home.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some staff deal with just they just not in it today. They just mentally not there, and so now I have to help them get through that. But to get me through. I just pray about it. I listen to my music, or when I get home, I go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I deal with the next day. I deal with it when I get up and I figure it out then. But to be honest, a lot of times I don't take care of me because I'm worried about my staff or my consumers because I want to make sure that they're good. But once I know that they're good, then I'm good.
Good.
So,
That was a good point you brought up about you having team members who have gone through different things. I don't know if employers really realize when you have a team, these are human beings and they come into work
mhm.
with all that they have dealt with at home and try to leave it in the car if they can. But to be honest, it's hard sometimes to not have
Oh,
that spill over, you know?
it is very hard. One of my staff, her son just died
Jesus.
this year. And she called me. It was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when she called me. It was more so probably like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
And she called me. She was like, "My son just, passed away." And I was like, "Okay, I'm on
Jesus.
my way." But when I got there, she's so strong. I love her. I've been knowing her. We used to work at another house together back in the day, and we've been good friends. But she was so worried about calling me, and I said, "What you worried about me for? Your son just passed away. You
Right,
need to be." And she was like, she kind of laughed a little bit. She said, "You right. Okay, I'm about to go." And she was trying to explain. I said, "Don't explain nothing else about this house. Just go." But
right.
we be so concerned about work. I'm like, don't worry about work. Don't worry about me. Just go. Your son just passed away. And she knows once it clicked into her, she was like, okay, I'm gone. So we get so consumed with work, including myself, that I
Yeah.
have to learn how to not allow work to be just so consumed all the time. I have
Yes.
to learn how to let it go and deal with me at the moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So even when we telling her that, I had to learn it for myself. So sometimes it's always a teaching moment working at my home
Oh,
for
yes.
me because things I'm telling them, I gotta teach myself that,
Right.
and it's not always easy. And it's funny because I'm the youngest out of all my stuff. I'm the youngest one, and I'm the youngest manager. I think out of from my department.
Wow.
So it's always a learning moment for me. I don't always think I know everything. Like I tell my staff, I don't know everything. Some things I still have to uh, still ask questions on. Some things I still have to learn. I don't know everything, but I'm trying to learn. But the best way I can get through it is helping you guys, observing, making sure everybody good. Once y'all good, I'm good, and
Yeah.
they know that. They know, and I was letting them know. it ain't just me. We all a team. We all have to work together. This is not because we all here for one purpose, and that's just to take care of our consumers. It ain't
Mhm.
about us when we come in this door. It ain't about y'all. It's about these consumers. Because at the end of the day, we're taking care of them. So
Yeah,
once I know that they're good, and then once they're good, my staff is good, then I'm good. Because
right.
it goes that way, And if I'm good, then my bosses are good, and they don't have to worry about whether or not if I'm okay or if she's stressing out or if she's struggling. If I need help, I don't have a problem with raising my hand and say, okay, hey, I need help. I don't have that problem. I will let my managers know, hey, I need some help. I don't know what I'm doing. Can
Good.
you help me fix this? So, but I just try to, like I said, decompress any way that I can, whether it's getting some sleep, whether it's put my music on, or just praying. Those are the three things I know how to do.
That's good. And to those who are out there, I know we talked about one of the ways to cope with depression around this season is to reach out. Some of the companies out here have what's called employee assistance programs that are free and they can provide you with counseling. So please, if you find yourself um, in a place of extra depression around this time of year, any kind of time, some of the employers have programs that they're paying for to make sure you're well. Because think about it, the more well you are, the better you are when you come to work. So take advantage of these different opportunities for free counseling. I know my employer offers it like 3 free, office visits a year, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. Sometimes there's different programs that your employers are providing, so you can tap into that to get additional help. Because if you
Absolutely.
don't talk to someone, you end up internalizing your feelings and you become emotionally detached on
I
top
don't
of
get now.
dating. Go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I also advocate for therapy as well. Now I do go get therapy, but I don't do it through my job. But I
Mhm.
do see her once a week, and we
Good.
talk, and, we do our thing, and it has been the best thing that has ever happened to me. It really helps. And I'm not just saying that just to kind of just say it, but it really do help. So if you can get it, please get it. If your job offer it, take advantage of it.
Yes.
Therapy is like one of the best things. They don't mean that you don't believe in God. They don't believe that
Right. Say that.
get the therapy that you need because it does help.
Absolutely. And having the kind of job that you have, Kai, because you are taking care of so many people with so many different life circumstances, I think it's
Mhm.
important to keep you okay, because you're like responsible in a sense for people's quality of life, and you
Mhm.
need to make sure that you're good, mentally, physically, all of that. So I applaud you
Absolutely.
for doing that. Absolutely. I believe therapy is not just for when things are going bad. It should also be preventative maintenance. You want things to be stable and consistent. So
Mhm.
don't just wait till, oh my God, I'm in the most, tumultuous trauma. I need a therapist. Maybe you need to keep that person on hand so that you talk things through and you don't get to the point where it's a,
Right.
5 alarm fire.
Right. Right. Right.
So I'm glad you said that. And I'm saved and sanctified too. And I sure got me a therapist. And you also need an accountability partner, a way to maintain
Mhm.
your emotional well-being and to de-stress. To me, is someone that you can depend on and rely on, that's trustworthy, a sister, friend, or
Mhm.
whatever, that you can go to and in the most strictest of confidence, knowing your stuff ain't gonna be on Facebook and in the street or in the newspaper, but you can talk to them about where you are and have that one-on-one. And I did a post today. I said pick up the phone and call, and don't just text. And I was talking about me because I text a person I hadn't heard from in a while, and she turned around and called me. And boy, Kai, when I tell you, she lifted my spirits up so, Kai, just from that
Aw.
15 to 20-minute conversation. And she could have responded by text too. She could have said, I'm good. God bless. She called. And I was so happy to hear her voice, that she was doing good and my family's doing good. So in the whole social media and technology, we've lost the art of a conversation.
We sure have.
We have lost
Everything
that.
is based off emojis. So
Right.
it's
But an
definitely
acronym.
wasted.
you know,
Right. So
emotions and
it's good to have
emojis.
a conversation.
But there's value in the conversation. So every now and then, y'all, text is good when it's quick, but every now and then, pick up the phone and call your auntie, pick up the phone and call your cousin, and just have a little laughter. It may turn into crying and then back into laughter. You may go through 25 different emotions. That's okay. That's okay.
Mhm.
Just pick up the phone and talk and cherish your elders in your life. If you got a big mama, if you got a grandmama, you got an auntie, pick up the phone and check on them too. Please pick up the phone and check on them. They need to hear your voice. Some of them live alone and may not get visitors, but you picking the phone up, hey auntie, it's me. I just want to say I love you. How you doing? Do you need anything? And yeah, you probably gonna be on the phone for about 2.5 hours. That's okay. Going to get you a Capri Sun, going to get you some
Right.
snacks, and just ride it out because you never know what that conversation would do for someone. But we got to get out of here. Ky, girl, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Thank
Sister,
you for having me.
this has been amazing. I applaud you for what you do. I
Thank
hope that
you.
listeners got a chance to understand what the Life Center does in providing life skills, life services, goal setting for those who may have different life circumstances. Sister, I pray God's blessings over your efforts for your
Thank you.
nonprofit, that God will bring that into fruition sooner than later, my dear. So we're going to get out of here. I definitely want to have you back soon, sister. Thank
Just
you.
let me
Thank
know
you.
when. I'm
And
always
thank
open.
you. And I need you to do me a favor, Ky. I have a women's support group to you, Ky, and
Okay.
anybody else missing called Shades of Chocolate. It's on
Okay.
Facebook. And I have it's like 400 of us from all walks of life, all occupations, all backgrounds. I would love for you to be a part of that group with your
Okay.
expertise and knowledge, sister. I think you could be a tremendous help to those who may need that kind of help or know someone who
Okay.
need that kind of help. So I would love for you to join us and anybody else out there who is a woman and wants a support group. That's one way to keep your emotions in balance is connection. So there's a connection
Absolutely.
for you. But I got to get out of here. I want to thank you again, Ky. Thank you all for
Thank you so
watching,
much for
listening,
having me.
commenting, and still replay it and comment. I will respond. God bless you all and have a good rest of your Sunday evening. It's LHG signing out saying, Trailblazers Radio is where it's at, baby. Giving you the best in talk radio. We got you covered. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.